clients who want to write business. Perfect. Welcome to today, where we talk about objections and having, maybe an objection with the banking specifically. But I wanted to also ask you guys, I'm going to say a comment. I just wanted to see what you think about it. Objections are my least favorite and my most favorite topic at the same time. Why would it be my least favorite?
Nobody likes being rejected.
True. But if you don't mind and you're used to it and you're really good at handling it, why would I still really not like it? Other than the fact that I'm not good at it, aside from that.
Questioning your ability, not
Yeah,
being able to connect.
yeah.
Slows you
So,
down, take more time.
yeah, here's my answer. The reason why I don't like objections is because half of them can be avoided by things you should have done before you ever got the objection. Because you get so stuck on trying to handle the objection that you're actually missing something maybe earlier in the process. Could be fact finding. It could have been a little bit of information that you needed to give them about the policy. Obviously, if somebody doesn't give you their banking, what do you know right off the bat if they won't give it to you?
Trust isn't there.
That's right. The trust isn't there, right? So, I would say half the objections you get can be avoided by proper discovery as well as building trust and then positioning, the positioning that you make earlier in the call. So you want to ask, personal and relevant questions that are related to them, earlier in the call. And more specifically, when somebody brings something up that is an objection, it's usually, in the first 3 minutes, it's kind of like a reaction, it's an avoidance. It is, hey, not right now. I've had people tell me they didn't have time, and then, 54 minutes later, we were getting off the phone. They had a policy, things like that. So, did they really not have time, or they just in the beginning didn't think they had time for me, right? So, hey Ben, welcome to the call. Hey guys, this is my buddy Ben here in Miami, and I was talking about him this morning when Evan was running the call because Ben started in like November. Last year was his first year in telesales, but he only really worked a few months in insurance last year. He's always been like kind of a manager, leader, team builder kind of guy in his other jobs. But I'm glad that Ben was able to make it. It looks like he's driving.
Yeah, I'll
How's it?
be I'll be at the office in about 2 minutes.
Nice. Well, I can hear you just loud and clear. And I just wanted to get somebody to tell me who's been dealing with a lot of calls lately, who's also been top 10 leaderboards to get your feedback. Um,
Sure.
Tell me, Ben, when somebody says, I don't give out my bank account, what would you say?
I said that's totally fine, and then I would just continue on to the next part of the call, especially if if you've gotten far enough where you're gonna ask for banking. I mean, that usually doesn't happen to me because, like you mentioned, Griff, like I make sure that I really dig into the person's reason for buying, why they would buy. And I always ask them, like, why would you get this if this is something you're gonna set let's say, what would be the benefit of making sure that you got this today? So I just get them to tell me why, and then I make them right for that.
Good. All right.
As far
Thank
as
you.
like how to handle the question, like if it does come up, well, I'm not giving you the banking, I go, oh, it's okay, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. And then I just pivot. I don't say, well, what do you expect me to do to help you? I never make the person wrong. I just tell them that's totally fine. That's within your right. You don't have to share anything here that you don't want to. And then I go back to the pain point and say, you want to make sure that Bobby doesn't have to come out of pocket, for these final expenses, right? Yeah, that's right. Okay, good. And let me ask you this. Would you want to set this up in a way so that he never has to worry about making any payments for this? Oh, no, I'm going to pay for it myself. Right. So then we want to make sure we do it in a safe way. And that's going to require some banking information so we can set that up for you. Who do you bank with? And then I just go right back into it.
Nice. I love that. One thing that really stood out to me that you said there, that probably more than anything was something that we probably don't hear very often is you're right. You know, like I don't mind being
Yeah,
wrong. Like if you said, Griffin, what you said was incorrect, I'm not going to get all upset about it. And if you're right that I'm wrong, then that's what it is. And I'm going to smile and say, you're right. But we get made
exactly.
wrong so often in life that the number one thing I learned probably like ever in my life was that let's just say, I'm just going to say this, okay? Just really quick. We're going to take a step back because if you don't have this information, I don't think anything else really matters in terms of anything in sales. If somebody feels or thinks a certain way, it may not necessarily be right to you, but it's right to them for some reason. And I want to ask you guys a question, right? Okay, this is a big one. If you're right in life, just in life, you're right. What does that look like for you? You know, like being wrong is, and I'm sorry if you know someone who's gone through this, being homeless, eating out of a trash can, it to me is being wrong in life. And I feel bad for those people, and I would do something to help them if I could, in certain situations I run into them. But I don't think anybody here on this call wants to be that person, right? And you're not. Now, if being wrong is being homeless, eating out of a trash can, what's below that? Being dead, not being alive. That would be wrong. That's the furthest wrong you can get. Dead. So being right would be, in my opinion, gated community, security system if I needed it. I mean, I'd probably have it just because you could have it. Private school for my kids, private tutoring, not a public school. I mean, if I could afford it, if I could afford it, that would be a goal for me. Or homeschooling, but then social activities so they're not introverted, awkward homeschooled kids, but they're very intelligent because they got a very good education. That to me is rightness and survival, right? So when you say someone's wrong or in any way infer that they're say that they're wrong, make them feel that they're wrong, you're going to immediately get them trying to fight back and prove how they're right. And you all can know what I'm talking about. If you've ever been married, if you've ever been in a relationship, welcome to planet Earth. People don't like to be wrong about anything. So the more that you can, hey, I can, like, if someone, like, okay, let's just say I loved, Hillary Clinton. Let's just say I did. Okay, let's just pretend for a moment, okay, that I did. If I'm talking to a client that loves Donald Trump, and that's what she loves, and she says, I love Donald Trump, and I don't like Donald Trump. If I felt that way, I'm not gonna like make her wrong. That would be stupid. I would say, I get it. I can understand why you feel that way. You probably have some, she probably, her beliefs. Was there something that she said that you really liked? Yeah, I really like this. Okay, that makes sense. More education or more whatever it is. You probably like that about her. I can understand that. I never said I agreed. I never said that's what I believe. You know what I mean? So it's okay. You don't have to have such a high ego that you have to prove that no, you're right and they're wrong, and that just needs to be eliminated completely from sales or even really even in conversations. Like you don't need to prove yourself, right? So that helps a lot throughout the call. So that way, when you're building trust with somebody toward the end, they feel like they're your friend, and really I kind of like it. Like I have this lady that just called me today because she just likes to talk to me and I like talking to her, and she's nice and she lives in Illinois and I've never met her, but she's been paying her Americo policy for about a year now. And so, you know, um after years of doing final expense, I started to sell other products like, annuity, IUL, children's policies. She said she was going to refer a doctor to me. I told her I would give her a gift card for that. I also asked her if she was doing something with her Medicare. She does want a free Medicare review. So if she gets Medicare with us, I could get that $100 bonus that they're always posting in the chat. So these are those little relationships that you build through like the trust. Notice that I'm not like really focused on what magical words that I can say, like when someone says, like, I don't give my banking out. Like, no, I totally get it. I don't really give out my bank account either. Usually when I'm working with somebody, I want to know that they're the real deal. And by the way, did you get that picture of my license on your phone? Oh, no, I haven't checked it. You sent me a message? Yeah, I sent you my license on your phone. Can you put me on speakerphone real quick? Like it won't mess you up, will it? No, I can do that. Boom. Oh yeah, yeah. And you can even see sometimes like that they read your message. Oh yeah, that is you. Yeah, I sent that to you 15 minutes ago. Oh, see, those are those little things. Another thing that we like to do to prevent any issues with the banking that, Ben and I have been doing, um, is that we will share our screens with Crankwheel because it's free, and you just share your screen while you're filling out. Hey, are you pretty good at like if I sent you a message, could you see it while we're on the phone? Yeah, no problem. Some people can, some people can't. But for the ones that can, let's go ahead and do it. Look at my message. Oh yeah, there's your license. Griffin Henderson? Yeah, that's me. And then they click the link and they see my screen and I'm filling out the app and I'm like, you see how I have to put this information in here? Yes. Once I put it in there, there's no going back. Like it's going to be secured. It's going to be protected. Okay. And then I really don't ever get resistance on it because of all those little steps before, texting in my name, number, license, sharing my screen for the application. Now, I've talked enough. I would like to get some of your feedback. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have like, do you want to role play it? Because we can absolutely role play it. You need to sound at least comfortable when you're asking for it, or any objection for that matter.
I got something, Griffin.
Yeah.
I want to clarify kind of something you just said. I think it's very important not to pre-defend yourself when you're asking for the social or the banking. You don't kind of explain, hey, once I enter this, I'm never going to see it again before you ask, do you? Or do you?
That's a good question. So, for me, I I do say something that's more of like a matter of fact, like for example, for the social. I'll say, "Hey, we're going to check your prescription history to make sure that you are eligible for the insurance. What's your social?" It's not really like explaining much other than, "Hey, John Wilson, there's a lot of John Wilsons in America. They don't want to mix you up with somebody else. The company demands that I get your social so we can get you approved today." I don't say demands, but I do say like that. And I never get resistance on the social, like 99% of the time. But I don't want I don't want other agents to get caught up into something that maybe I do that, could be done the way Evan does it, because Evan, you don't get resistance either, do you?
I would say sub 10%, I lose someone at the social or banking,
Yeah,
Obviously it's
less
going to
than 10.
happen sometimes, no matter what you do, there's going to be that clamshell person, but majority of the time I'm very confident. And
Yeah,
that's what it is too. Confidence asking.
yeah. I moved fine. I mean, for me, and you probably are submitting more volume than me on an average. I mean, maybe not at the moment because you have a team and I don't, but I would say like when you were riding heavy, and then you did $81,000 in a month. I mean, you probably if you had 10 people say no to the social or banking, then you just didn't write that app. So
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
It's not like you closed 100% of the people you presented to,
Yep.
right? But no matter what you say, you will always have somebody who just will not give it to you. I'm going to tell you a secret. I don't know if this is correct or not. So, American Amicable, that's not a problem if they won't give you their social. Not a problem. That's okay. And I'll just put their phone number in and they'll find it. And then they'll send me an endorsement saying, is this correct? And 99% of the time, it probably is. That's different than the banking. The banking, you got to get it, you know. Another important question is to say in the beginning of the call, which will help you later in the call, ma'am, they do give you discounts based on how you pay your bills, like how you receive your benefits. Do you have an active checking or savings? What do you want that for? Well, I don't need any personal information right now, but do you have one? I use the card. Oh, you mean Direct Express? Yeah, the MasterCard, the green card that the government gives you. Yes. Okay, then I know I can't write American Amicable now, you know. I'd have to pivot to American General, Transamerica, you know, something like that. The reason why I like American General, by the way, is because they advance you on card business, just so you know, since we're talking about banking. If you use a card, they will advance you, the same as if you used a bank account. Don't use that as a crutch to not get the banking because banking is better business and it will stay on the books better. You want to get those renewals. The renewals add up, you know. Before you know it, renewals will start buying you stuff on a monthly basis, you know, like a new car, you know, like a gym membership that's $250 a month. Um, yeah, Ben, like you never get resistance on the social, correct?
I mean, I might get one out of 20 or something, right? But I just wanted to share like what exactly it is that the word's not always the same, but the message is, which is I let the person know, hey, back in the day, Betty, you used to have to go draw blood, urine, all this stuff just so that we could get you qualified and approved. Luckily, these days, all they got to do is they use your social just to make sure they check, your health records, any pharmaceutical records, and they just want to make sure you're not dying of cancer and that you're trying to get a policy before you croak. And they usually laugh and I go, "So what's the social security number?" And then that's it.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason why I don't want to, I'm not saying we're right, you know, like I like Evan's way, I like Ben's way, I like my way. There's not like 100% success rate, but I just like, I mean, if I did 100 presentations, I think like maybe less than 5%, you know what I mean? Like what Evan said is confidence. Like you just need to sound, the key actually is to sound like you've done it 1,000 times. And that's actually where everything changes for you is you've done this more than they have after your first like day or two. You know, like after you've put a day or two of work in, you've done this more than they have ever in their entire lives. So use that to your advantage. It took me 8 days to close my first deal. And I think it was because of that one reason. I didn't sound like I had done it 100 times yet. So it's only 1:18, and I feel like we're running out of things to talk about. So
So
is there,
Griff,
if any, chime in.
I'll share. So I listened to a lot of John Wetmore's podcast, Insurance Insiders.
Hmm.
And he had a guy on there, just one of his average guys, 500,000 a year or something. And I learned a pre-frame from him that I've used ever since. It's working really good. And then I learned something different from John Wetmore in a video I was watching yesterday. But the pre-frame is, okay, we've got you pre-approved. We're gonna go for the full approval. I'm gonna get the app open while I'm doing that. Just like when you buy a car, the bank, in this case, the insurance company, needs your driver's license, your social security, and your banking information. You go ahead and gather that, I'll get this app open. The point being, if they object, you're gonna object there, not 20 minutes later into the app. If you're gonna lose them there. Don't waste another 20 minutes. That's been working for me. The one I
That's
heard,
cool.
the one I heard John say yesterday is, go ahead, verify your social. Oh, I don't give out my show's social. Well, I need your social. How is the insurance company going to know you're not trying to scam them and open up insurance in somebody else's name? Because all of them are thinking scam. So you're turning that back around on them. And then, or I don't give out my social, just shut up and be quiet. Don't respond to that. A lot of times it's just a complaint. And within 30 seconds, they just start giving it to you anyway. So those two things both I learned from John. That are
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they just want to make sure you're not wheeling around a tank of oxygen or strapped to a hospital bed. What's your social? Exactly. Exactly. Hey, and in fact, Evan, and I forgot that I used to say that a lot. Hey, Betty, the insurance company can get you approved because they're going to make sure you don't have cancer. I don't have cancer. I know you don't have cancer, but they're going to check, and they already know when we apply. They want to make sure you're not wheeling around a tank of oxygen or strapped to a hospital bed. What's your social? It's usually they'll chuckle a little bit, they'll laugh a little bit at it. So, um, any other objections? We don't just have to cover banking today. Pretty much all carriers do need the social, correct? Every carrier except Gerber, which we don't have Gerber, so you can just forget about it. We don't need them. Um, yeah, if you do Ethos like TrueStage or um, there's other carriers that we have like Fidelity Life, which is Instabrain, or you have Ethos. Those carriers let the client do it themselves, but you might have that small percentage of you just can't get them to do it. Then they got to now be technologically savvy enough to fill out the app themselves. So I wouldn't let that be a crutch for you. You know what I mean? Don't do it. Because if you become too dependent on that, you'll lose out on a lot of business that way. Because most people aren't going to fill out that app by themselves. I don't think. But I'm not saying it's a never. I'm just saying it's a not often. Yes. Next question or comment.
Um, Something that like has worked for me is I don't know if you address this or not, but typically when I get to the banking, I kind of call it like setting the stage. So instead of like, okay, you're in the app and you see, account routing number come up, I don't just say like what's your account and routing number? Because it's one of those things that kind of like stings people. So I kind of let them know like what's about to take place. So I'm like, hey, you know, I'm just going to go over kind of how the process works. Once we submit the application, they're going to confirm everything, kind of make sure everything's accurate. So I can pretty much let you know before we hang up whether or not you're approved. Once you make that initial payment, they're going to mail you out the policy. Once you get your policy, you can call me back. We'll go over it, kind of make any changes before anything is actually final. Does that sound fair? So like in that first, I've told them you got to get approved, you got to make your payment, and we'll go over your policy. Right. And then I say, hey, we set everything up with a bank service plan. Would you be using a checking or a savings? So I start getting like micro details before I get to the account number. So they give me checking or savings. What's the name of the bank? I always get the date first. So I say, hey, we can actually start the policy as soon as you're approved, which will be today. And then when do you want all your future payments set up? The first or the third?
Right.
And then they give me the date, and then I confirm the routing number, and then the account number is always the thing that I ask last.
Love
That
that.
typically never have a lot of issues.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. And actually, what you said, I'm glad you said it because sometimes it's like when you have so much information in your mind, you just kind of like don't say it all. It's just like almost like it gets left over here in this other file. So you
Mhm.
just opened up a whole new file for me in my mind. So I appreciate that because because Bianca is awesome. Anytime you get like a top 10 producer or a number one producer that ever was number one ever, just having them be able to speak, like you definitely want to perk your ears up because yes. Like for example, setting the stage, absolutely. Like it's almost like so normal that I didn't even mention it. You're right. So earlier in the call, you're setting that up. But what I really liked about what you said also was that when you're doing the app, it's really like the last thing I do. Like I'm going through and I'm like, what's your address where we're going to mail you your policy? And they're like, you put the address in there. Good. Any apartment or house? And then you go down, hey, if it's AmAm, American Amicable, what's your doctor that you go to? And then right after that doctor, that's when I get that social because it's related.
Yeah.
It's literally just connected and they're almost expecting it. So I
Yeah.
don't ever get pushback when I do the now I also try to be careful where I'm not sandwiching the social too close to the banking because like I recall like my first month I was like, what's your social? Good. I got the social. And then I was like, great. Now what's your banking? No, what's your bank account? Like, and then it was just like totally bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I'm like, hey, what's the name of the bank that you work with? I just want to see if it's one of our preferred banks. And they're like, I like Wells Fargo. And then this is exactly what I'm doing while they're saying that. I'm like, okay, and have you always lived in Georgia? And I'm like, Georgia routing number. See, it's already coming up for me because I've done it so much. And
Right.
then they're like, yeah, I've always lived in Georgia. I'm like, great. Well, your routing number should be 061000227. And they're like, yeah, how'd you know that? I was like, because everybody in Georgia has that routing number with Wells Fargo. They said, really? I didn't know that. Or maybe they're like, yeah. So it's just a funny little thing that happens. And then I'm like, do you want to use a checking or savings? I want to use a savings. Great. Is that where your money gets deposited? No, it goes to my checking. Well, just for your safety and security, I recommend that you use it where you get your money paid to because I don't want you in the hospital not able to transfer your funds and then you lose your life insurance when you need it the most. Because as Bianca knows very well, the business that stays is the business that pays. You want to get the business to stay on the books, not just write at one time and you never, three months later they lost their Direct Express card when they had or they used a card when you could have just used their bank and they lost their card and you used a debit card and you could have just gotten them to get their checking account number to you. By the way, once you close your sale, especially if it's a big one, you should definitely take the time to get them to get you their banking, even if it's not on the same call. Even if they couldn't give it to you for whatever reason that day, you tried and tried and tried and tried. They gave you a debit card. Try to get that bank account number at a later time, especially once they've gotten their policy in the mail. Because I kept having a lady like she would shut her card off because she has foster kids. And so she just turns her card off constantly. And her insurance would bounce and I'd have to call her and it was annoying. So for like the first 3 months I said, it'd be a lot easier if you just let me use your checking account. She's like, oh, we can do that. I was like, silly me. I must have messed up and didn't ever let her know that she could do that. So yeah, we've never had that happen again. She's been paying it for 6 months now and everything's great. It's like $123 a month too, It's a decent size. But anyway, that was awesome, Bianca. Thank you so much for sharing that. Did anyone else have anything they wanted to contribute, like, Evan or Bianca or Ben? Your connection looks like it's a lot better than it was before.
Yeah, for some reason the internet on my desktop is not doing great. I think they're working on the internet in the area or something. So I have to stay on my phone. Um, but yeah, my internet's a little bit better, I guess.
Cool. Well, thanks for being here. Was there anything that anybody wanted to go over at all?
You have a question.
Yeah.
Could you submit an app without payment information, or is that required when you submit it?
It is required. Um, I would hate to lie to you though and tell you that you can't with American Amicable. Unfortunately, and fortunately, they have direct bill. I have been the person where I did everything under the sun that you could think of without upsetting the client to get them to give me their banking, including something called the loop, which I'll go over in a second, and that's one of the last things we'll cover. And I would mail them the policy. They would get it. And I would also tell them, hey, listen, if I'm going to go through this and do this, by the end of this call, like if everything I've said is legit and when you get your policy in the mail, is there any reason in the world why you're not going to fill in your banking information on that piece of paper that they're going to send to you? And they're like, no, if I get the policy and I look at it, it looks good, then I'm going to fill it out and I'm going to mail it back in. And I've had that happen a few times with the people that just absolutely 100% will not give you their banking over the phone. which for me is very rare. I would say less than like 2% of the time ever. Um, then I will do direct bill with American Amicable and they'll send them the policy. They'll be approved or not approved. You know, you'll know everything except they don't have a payment and they're going to get a bank authorization form that they have to fill out and sign. You can fill it out for them and have them sign it, or you can, tell them to fill it out and stick it in the envelope and mail it off. But obviously that the quality and the retention of that type of business is very low. I
Oh,
only would expect mentally, though, Ricardo, in my mind, if I did that 10 times, I would expect that less than three people would actually go through with it. Just so I'm not upset when it doesn't work out.
yeah. I'm just wondering if there's a customer out there that maybe doesn't want to commit to a payment unless they've been, approved.
That's when you're going to be writing, Transamerica Express,
Okay.
American General, SIWL, Simplified Issue Whole Life. Those give you instant decisions before you even get their banking.
Okay.
And you can show that to them on their screen with Crankwheel. Hey, by the way, look, here's your policy number. Hey, by the way, look, you're approved. Congratulations. Like, this is awesome. Like, I make it a big deal. Like, I'm excited. Like, I genuinely for everybody involved. I'm like, yeah, we got you approved. Like, this is great. Good,
Yeah.
congratulations. Like, if something happens tomorrow and you make your payment today, like, your kids are covered.
Good point. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So that's a game changer, man. Instant decision. I didn't have that when I started. I don't think Bianca had it. Most of us probably didn't have it, right? Instant decision. What is that? Americo's instant decision is kind of, they have it as well, but it's not as good as the other two because sometimes after you've done everything, they'll still change it at the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying, but it happens.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, the loop. So I don't know if I still have the link to it, but I can share you. I'm gonna try to pull it up really quick because I had it. Um, JVE. You guys know Justin Von Eigen? Anybody know who that is? That's my guy. I worked with Justin in insurance for many years. I was his top producer when he was with Senior Life Services out of Vero Beach, Florida, which was an agency. I started at like 50% commission and I did not get to keep my book of business, so I don't recommend it. But but good people, good company. And all I want to say is that he does the insurance course. He does the pre-licensing course. I'm going to give you a link for free that he charges $35 a month for, but certain people are allowed to share this. He doesn't have an agency anymore, so he definitely doesn't care if I give this out to you. Right here in the chat is I put it in the chat. You can click on it, but I'm going to share my screen so you can see it. So if you're on a call, just check this out real quick. If you're on a call and somebody's like, yeah, I already have coverage. I completely understand. Most people I speak with already have coverage. However, they find this information really valuable and then just continue with your script. As an example, but let's get down to banking. I don't give out my bank info. You have a few things you can say here if you don't know what to say. But what I really, really like is the loop. We learned this from Jordan Belfort, Straight Line Persuasion. Probably one of the two good things I've ever learned from him was with three things was tonality, the loop, staying on the straight line. The third thing was creating urgency with people who are looking and have the ability to purchase. I'll tell you about that another time, not on another call. But anyway, it's a video called Sales versus Marketing on YouTube, Whiteboard Wednesday. If you ever want to look it up, it's really good. So let's say someone's like really just not trusting you. You didn't do a good enough job building trust throughout the presentation. You could use this loop. For example, like Ricardo, can you be the customer?
Sure.
So I hear what you're saying, but let me ask you a question. Does the idea of this make sense to you?
It
Like,
does.
do you like the idea of a program like this for little Johnny?
I do.
Okay. I understand. And look, like if they say I don't have, the money or hey, like then you kind of go into like, hey, money aside. Like that's the type of tone you're using, right? Exactly. So you see the beauty of the program like this that is unlike most plans out there. You got to go back over the benefits because they're not sold and they don't trust you, right? So if anyone's really ever saying like I just don't have the money or I don't know if I can do this, you can just tell that they're uncertain. You need to resell them on this. You need to loop back in with this. And if by the end of this little bit here on my screen, if by the end of this they're not going to do it after that, then at least you know you did everything you could do on that call without causing a big upset. So you're just going to recover some of the benefits and you're going to ask some questions and you're going to fit in. As far as the price group goes, at the heart of all of our success is one simple thing. We get your claims paid to your family when they need it the most. That's all we do. And we specialize in final expense programs. We don't sell 15 different types of insurance. We work with people just like you. Now, in this case, like we don't sell 15 different types. We sell 15 different carriers, but we don't do 15. It's all the same. Like we work with people just like you, helping them prepare for the worst. We design a product to specifically match your needs and make sure that those needs are met. So why don't you do this, John? Apply for the lower death benefit. I would just say the number, like apply for the 5,000. It's only $30 a month and it will cover the basics for your cremation. So as soon as you're approved, you'll be able to finally check this off your list. Sound fair enough?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like I just kind of skipped it because I'm not going to bore you guys with reading the whole thing, but also you got a referral script. You've got talk to the spouse. I never make I got to sleep on it. I never make a decision the same day. I don't want to make a rash decision. I understand. How long you been thinking about this? 2 years? Well, the truth is it'd be impossible to consider any decision that you make at this point a rash decision. You were contacted a little while ago by myself, and you wanted some information about life insurance. And I'm sure you thought about it that day and maybe once or twice since then as well, even if you don't remember. We've spent almost an hour on the phone today, reviewing your health, what program you'd best qualify for, what program best fits your needs. Like you can't make a rash decision by saying yes now. So let's go ahead and get this program started for you and your son, Michael. That's the kind of anyway, that's all I got. We don't need to make this a long call unless you guys want to, but I'm happy to help with anything else you guys need. I dropped that link in the chat. Now, I don't necessarily like the referral script, to be honest with you, but it's better than the referral script that you don't use.
Yeah, I can't offer them a free insurance though. That's what your referral script
Oh,
says.
sorry. No, at our old carrier, we were able to give them accidental death up to
Yeah.
5,000 for free, and it was designed for referrals.
Yeah. Bianca said she had another suggestion.
Oh yeah, I would love it. If Bianca has something to say about that, absolutely.
Not
she's-
the just the if because I've seen this happen with some people before where like the person says that they don't have their account number. And then, a lot of times people will get off the phone. Okay, well, once you get it, call me back. A lot of times that will lead to no sale. So I don't know if you had like going over kind of what they can do if they don't have like the account number.
That's a great point. Yeah, like having them look for a check, having them look for a bank statement. If it's a local bank, having them, on your cell phone, three-way call with the bank, and you got to tell them what to say before you call the bank. Would you like to go over a few of those things, Bianca? Because you're on it. You're on top of it.
I just like things I'm thinking about for people. So most of those things you said is right. But let's just say none of those things work. Um, Something that I've done is if they have a card, normally everybody has their card on them, right? So you can put the card as like a placeholder and at least submit the application, maybe push the date out a little bit and let them know, hey, like I'm going to reach out to you tomorrow and we can go ahead and put your account, we can go ahead and update it to your account number. Um, for me, I'd rather like submit the application with something, some form of payment in there because there's like that commitment. And so people are more likely to call you back and give you that because it's almost like a test too, right? Like you're testing them to see, do they really not have their account number or are they just telling you they don't have
Yeah.
their account number? So if you're like, okay, no problem, like I can actually put a card on file as well. And they're like, oh, I don't have my card. Like,
Yeah.
you kind of so that's kind of like my way that I like test people.
Brilliant.
Same thing too. If you're like, hey, well, like, let's go ahead and get your bank on the phone. I do this with clients all the time. And they're like, they start, like we say in Louisiana, they start crawfishing, where they're like, start backing up. Then, that you can use as an opportunity to like bring bring clarity or, hey, look, it sounds like maybe there's something that you're not comfortable with. Like, you can be completely honest with me. Like, do you really not have your account number or is there just something, maybe, you're afraid to say? Like, I'm open, like just shoot it to me straight. And they'll tell you like, well, I just don't feel comfortable. Okay, got it.
Mhm.
And then you can, address it from there. So,
On the money. No, that's so good because like you're bringing up things that like I did that yesterday and then I had a guy call me and I'm like, this seems important. I'll take this call. 720 area code. Take the call. Hey, Griffin, it's Jose. I got my bank account. I didn't have it the other day. I want to give you my checking account number. Like I was like, oh, I thought I already had it. Like, okay. And then I just hit record on my phone and I told him I was going to record it. So when I got home, because I was literally walking down the sidewalk, I was like, I'm going to record this so that way when I get home, I can update it. He's like, okay. And I did that and it took 3 minutes. And then, yeah, exactly. I used the card just to get it on the books and then push the date out and then update the banking later. Absolutely. That's because he really just didn't have his account number, but he had his card and he gave me the card. And yeah, so spot on. Any other great things like that that you'd recommend that you're thinking with, Bianca, that we maybe didn't cover that we should cover?
I mean, that's really like, I think the biggest thing, because, that's where you're going to figure out if the person is serious or not, right? Is like that getting down to the bank information. And so, I do hear a lot of people too, like, hey, what date's going to work for you? So if you give somebody the option of post dating a payment, they're always going to choose to post date. So you're not going to get paid and they're not going to be covered. And I've actually had it where I post dated a payment and the lady died and
Uh,
didn't have coverage. So that's why I think I'm a lot more serious about getting that ASAP business. So it's like, hey, it's just not even an option. Like the first payment's going to come out as soon as you get approved, which is today. I'm not asking, are you okay with that? Like they'll tell you if they really can't pay today. And then, giving them that option of, hey, when do you want all your future payments made? And that's kind of my tip.
I
I think
love that.
address everything.
That's like right on the money. Like just assumptively, like when they get car insurance and they can't pay that day, then they're like, call me back when you have the money. Like they don't give you the choice to not pay that day.
Mhm.
So that's pretty cool. And I like that. And I mean, if you act that way, most people are assuming that they're going to have to pay today anyway, so you might as well take advantage of that. and just go ahead and assume that they're going to pay today. And we're going to set this up so you're protected today. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to take it out immediately. It's going to take like 1 to 3 business days to come out of your account, okay? And then what date do you get your benefits? I get them on the 3rd. Excellent. Well, my company will precisely align it so it's never on another day than the 3rd. Now, unfortunately, my favorite carrier is American General. And here's one of the reasons why, just to go along with what you said. The reason why is because I can get them to pay with a card right now. And I did this with my dad. So when you charge that card right there, it hits them right there. At the moment you click the button, their card gets charged. And then on the recurring, I use a bank account.
That's good.
And so they're getting that payment in, it's on the books. Now that recurring is going to come right out of their checking or savings, wherever they get their benefits. Is it the first, third, second week, third week, or fourth week, Miss Jones? Oh, I get them on the second Wednesday. Okay, good. So we're going to do it for the second Wednesday. It's never going to be early. It's never going to be late. It's always going to be right on time with your benefits. Okay. That's exactly what I would do. And it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Really
have
good.
I have one more thing just before I forget, and then I'll
Please.
shut up.
No,
Um,
please.
so because we're talking about ASAP business, right? So a lot of times people will bite off like more than they can chew, and they'll want to like, let's just say it's, today is actually the 3rd. If you're talking to somebody, let's just say it's a larger premium, let's say $124 or, over $100. And they're like, I need to push it out till the 3rd of April. Okay. Like that's always a red flag for me, right? Because like you just got paid today, like your money's not changing. How are you going to afford it next month if you can't afford this month, right? So I always say like, hey, Miss Mary, it sounds like this payment might be a little too much for you. So let's do this. I'm not asking. Let's go ahead and cut this in half. That way we can actually get you protected, and then I'll be your agent moving forward. So we can always touch base in a couple months. And if you feel like after you've made a couple payments, you can afford a little bit more, then we can always adjust it. And at that point, they're either going to say, just go ahead and take the payment, or they're going to say, actually, you know what? Instead of that 20, I think the 10 actually is better. Instead of 120, $60, I think that's better. And they're either going to increase it later, or most of the time that's really what they could afford. They just,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah, because you write good business and you don't want to oversell someone and then they make maybe one payment and then, they call you and they're that person that says, "Yeah, I just need to cancel it." I've also had people do 3 things that based off what you said. Number one, they were sold too much coverage. Number two, I didn't sell them enough coverage. Number three, I've had them actually call me. Yeah, I got a bigger policy. It was you only got me 10. I got 20 now. So it's kind of you got to kind of find out, is this good for them? And then when you say what she said and you increase it, like later, like you need to actually follow up with them to get them what they really want. Because if you don't get them that additional coverage in the future when they're comfortable and able, then some other agent is either going to get them two, like they're going to get an additional little policy sold, or they're going to just replace your policy with a bigger policy. So you just have to, that's why follow up and having a book of business and keeping your clients in a place where you can go back and like call them and check on them and stuff like that. That's all like really important. Um, so that's pretty much a wrap, I think, for today. Does anyone else have anything else before we jump off here?
Yeah, I got a question. So you can increase coverage later for them. Can you decrease coverage too if they
Um,
find out they can't afford that premium?
yes. Yeah. And it's
Okay.
carrier to carrier, like not every carrier does it the same way.
Okay.
But most carriers, like American Amicable, for example, was a carrier I wrote a lot of business with. they will let you reduce your coverage. I have another option, which is like within the first 60 days, you can increase it or decrease it. Um, if anything, if it's not too old of a policy, you can, you might have to rewrite it, It's my last resort. But yeah,
Okay. All right, I got one more. Last
yeah.
one. Um, I talked to a lady yesterday. She's trying to get approved for $50,000 of coverage.
Hmm.
And then she mentioned if she can't get approved for the 50, she wants to do two policies at 25,000. Can you do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I
Same
mean,
company or does that have to be two different companies?
it depends on the company. Some companies will max you out at a certain amount of dollars, like,
Yeah.
depending on your age. If she's 65, she can probably get 50 grand at a couple places. And um, otherwise, yeah, you'd have to go 25-25 with two different
Okay.
carriers.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right. That's
man.
all I got.
That's awesome. Hopefully you make those two sales.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Awesome. Jeremy, do you have anything to contribute before you get off here, buddy? I know you commented in the comments there.
Uh,
Banking and objections.
I was thinking, well, kind of going off what you said about the like when you type in and look for the routing number, I
Hmm.
just kind of say like, hey, it looks like it's a preferred bank, with American Amicable, and it pre-populates as 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. And then can you confirm your account number? Like that's just how I ask it. It's just
Real
very,
subtle, very
yeah,
direct, very subtle.
yeah.
You've been doing this a long time, so I like how laid back you are because like you have like that trust. It's just the client always trusts you. Yeah, man. All right. Well, thank you for sharing what you shared with about Corbridge.
Yeah.
It's not like American General, man. American General was a nightmare in the past, but then they built their sister company called Corbridge, and it's been awesome. Especially their quarterly bonus that they give. Every quarter, if you run enough, they'll give you a bonus. It steps up from like 10 all the way up to 25 policies. If you write 25 policies in one quarter, they can give you up to 7 grand this quarter. So last month though. Okay, guys, have fun. Happy selling. Email me with any questions you have. I'm going to throw it in the chat. If you ever want to reach out with questions, I love questions. I will answer them, all of them. There's my email. I mean it. Like I wouldn't give you my email if I didn't want the questions. Okay. All
Thanks,
right.
Griffin.
Thanks,
See you
man.
guys. Have a great day.
You
Training,
too.
thank
Thanks,
you.
Griffin.
Thank you. All right. See ya.
Bye-bye.